Hey everybody, this is Dr. Sandy, and I want to welcome you to our new adventure. Some of you may know who I am, some of you might not. I am the founder and president of Nurses Against Violence Unite, and Yolene and I, we were doing some talking about some pretty cool stuff that, we would like to do in order to get more exposure. Not only that, to be able to help our community, right? So many things are happening in society right now. And a lot of people, this includes patients, can't decipher which way that they want to go or who they should talk to, or sometimes people just need an idea of their next step. We are not here we're here to give advice, but this is independent advice. So if you follow something that we talk about, or if there's something that seems like it's a great idea, well, we appreciate, the credit. But we also want to make sure that you understand that everything that we say is only advice, that you can take it for your own information and do some more of your own research and combine that to make your best decision for your informed care. But this is where we're going to have more fun, and we're going to start celebrating people that have been wanting to do some advertising and doing some, stuff like that, about their own adventures and stuff that they're doing, with the same idea of it still being a part of nurse advice, still being, what can we offer our communities, not just each other, right? We know that healthcare is hurting, and healthcare workers mainly, as well, because they're absorbing all of the stress and isolation and anger and confusing moments that patients have. And we want to be there to be able to assist them, amongst everything else, right? So I have Miss Yolene Lofton, and she is for Nurses Against Violence, she is the Chief Operations Officer. And I love this lady, and she's doing something that I find I haven't really talked to her about it too much, but I would love for her to talk about what she has going on that she's working on. So Yolene, welcome.
Thank you. Well, absolutely, Sandy, thank you for that beautiful introduction.
Welcome.
Absolutely. What I'd first like to say is, nurses in general, whenever you have something negative or something, you're going through in the workplace or in your career, life doesn't have to stop there. In fact, a lot of the negative experiences we go through on an everyday basis outside of nursing is just a part of that. But one thing that these things do when we go through negative experience or adverse experience or disheartening experience in the workplace is it actually creates opportunities for nursing professionals, whether they know it or not. And several years ago, I went through an interesting experience. It was disheartening initially, but I actually fueled my disappointments and my, I won't say anger, but, those disheartening moments into something positive. And one of the things I did was several years ago, I think it was like 2019 when they were first talking about, when it was declared by the World Health Organization that they were going to make 2020 the year of the nurse and midwife. I mean, a light bulb moment went off in my head. I was like, wow, why not come up with an idea to kind of celebrate nurses throughout the whole year? And so one of the things I did was came up with an LLC by the name of Nursing Events Management Productions. And the main goal with that was going to be to coordinate with different organizations, or actually just set some events up myself, to try to celebrate nurses. In fact, one of the major ones we were planning on doing was reaching out to the Marlins Stadium right here in Miami, Florida, which we had everything going to celebrate nurses. I mean, band style, battle of the bands, you name it, different
Wow.
entertainers. Yeah. And guess what? February 2020 came and COVID-19 hit. And that just tanked all of the great ideas we had to celebrate nurses for the year. However, I didn't let it die there. Recently, of course, just allowed that moment to respark and ignite that same fire I had to celebrate nurses. But this time, just transitioned, and because of the pandemic issues that are going on right now, we came up with a totally different side to it. And so the name of the organization is Nursing Events Management Productions. And since COVID has created opportunities, why not? And so one of the divisions we incorporated within Nursing Events Management Productions was it's an innovative intermediary solutions provider that basically serves as a liaison between labs such as Quest Labs or others, and have nursing professionals or healthcare professionals serve as a liaison to kind of support people in the interim process with COVID testing. And so we're that intermediary provider, and we coordinate services and reach out to people and support them in between. And, more or less it's a way to just give back and encourage other nursing professionals to just give back if they feel like, they don't have, things to do, and there are other ways to reach out to patients or customers outside of their career or specialty right now, just as a support system. And if you could think of it in terms of a call center support line to try to help people troubleshoot those dynamics, if they're looking for a place to test, if they have questions on perhaps the fears about the whole vaccine and pandemic and those issues, and just serve as just a support system that people need so badly right now. But but also more importantly, where nurses could just use their skill and just give themselves totally to people in such a free manner, outside of fears of the red tape, being at an employer where a fear of reprisal. It just gives nurses the ability to be themselves and serve others freely. And so that's what Nursing Events Management Productions is. Basically an intermediary provider that allows healthcare professionals, namely nursing professionals, as contractors to try to give back, if you will, and serve others throughout this pandemic while they're looking for testing solutions.
That sounds awesome. That sounds absolutely awesome. And, it's funny because you and I have known each other for I don't know, about 6 months, 7 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you never, we've been so much on fire about, violence and violence and violence and all of this. And, tracking things down and, only said, I'm talking about myself because I could dive down the rabbit hole. And how does all of these things affect people, right?
Right.
So my passion is, of course, we all know, is Nurses Against Violence Unite. And, what I find, and I'm finding more of, is we need an advocate now. Society needs an advocate.
Absolutely.
Society needs somebody a nurse that's going to stand up, or nurses that's going to stand up and help to the best of their ability to help make that person not only calm down, maybe they just need to talk, or maybe the person has a question about their bandage or something, hey, what do you think? Should I go get somebody to look at this? Well, yeah, of course. Right. A friend that can sit there and, hey, do you remember going back and saying, when we have all of these people that have come forward and talked about violent situations. Right. And it's not just about violence. We're even talking about anything going out on over there in the public, right? public questions. What did they have for nurses? What did they want to ask us?
Right.
Sometimes, more times than not, patients are afraid to actually ask a nurse because they're afraid, just like we are with other things that we go through in nursing, they're afraid that they might get discriminated against, or the fear of reprisal, right? Because maybe a doctor doesn't know, or a nurse doesn't know, or they're jaded and they don't know how to react to your question because they're so involved with what's happening in their own life and what their situation is right now, that we don't stop to listen. We've stopped to, and I'm not saying all nurses, I'm not saying all doctors, but with the nonstop busyness that's been going out on the units, and the desire for a lot of nurses to sit there and hold their patient's hand, and sometimes they're forced to not be able to do that, weighs very heavily on nursing. So I feel this is a great way to bond both nurses and even nurses' aides with patients out there.
Right.
And to be able to have, like, again, build the connection, because we need that more than anything right now.
Yeah.
And if we stay in the dark and we stay disconnected, things go bad. And I don't know about you, but in order to make the nursing profession to feel better, sometimes we need to get other people involved. And that includes the general public. And if they need some help, we're here for them. And they know what we stand for with Nurses Against Violence.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of a way to bridge the gap, to bring more exposure, as well as also even be like anonymous reporting for either patients or even, nursing staff or physicians. It's very important that we build that bond. So I'm very excited about this adventure. It seems like it's a huge, gigantic undertaking, but that's what a lot of people told me with Nurses Against Violence, right?
That's
3
right.
going on 4 years later, right? We're over 30,000 and we're growing,
Yes.
but we can grow a lot faster. There's a whole lot more. There's 2.86 million nurses in the United States. Why do we only have about 32,000 nurses? So we have a lot of room to grow, and we're going to be the biggest nursing organization throughout the United States and the world. So I hope that everybody out there that is a nurse, I hope you're jumping up and down on chairs, but we're going to make this thing happen. And we cannot make this happen without you and doing it alone. So I know we said a lot. We always say a lot, but bottom line, I want to welcome you to our new channel. And we're also going to be, this is also going to be put on to Facebook as well. And we're going to have our own podcasts on top of that. So I want to thank you for joining us. And I'm looking forward to this adventure. Thank you.
Me too.